quite moved. I'm going to start this with a little short reading, and then I'll tell you some stories. When I lived in the Australian rainforest, my most powerful teachers didn't wear long robes, nor did they meditate on cushions. I discovered them right above my head and at my feet as I walked through the forest. These teachers weren't gurus, scholars, or books. In fact, many people might consider them to be deadly, something to be avoided or even killed, at best unintelligent and certainly not wise. Yet these teachers are all part of the great circle of love. I'm going to talk a bit about how I ended up in the rainforest. I met an Australian man in the States, fell in love, and we both were kind of escaping social and family pressures, and I was 25. And so we went back to Australia, and a friend told us about this, happened to mention, oh, there's this rainforest way up north in Queensland. It's virgin rainforest. It's the oldest rainforest on the planet. And, oh, you ought to go there if you want to escape. And so we rigged out an old Toyota truck and I put survival gear in it, and we drove thousands of miles up the coast into Queensland, up where the Great Barrier Reef is. And the closer we got to Queensland, Australians are characters. They're delightful and they love to tell stories. And they have some of the world's deadliest snakes. They have crocodiles and they have all these other creatures. And so people will tell us, oh, you got to watch out for this snake in the rainforest. And you got to watch out for the crocodiles. And then these jellyfish that can kill you in 5 minutes. And so I'm like, okay, that's not my vision of my adventure. So that kind of gets just shut out. And I had this vision of paradise. We're going to the rainforest. And so to get there, we had to cross this river. And, you know, it's on this rickety punt that kind of drags you across on cables. You put your car on it, and it's, you know, you see crocodiles and stuff. And then we had to winch through these creeks and mud and leeches. And when you go through the creeks, the water was coming up into the truck. And so it was an ordeal getting out there. It wasn't like you just turn around and go home if you don't like it. So we did finally go along this mountainside, and it's just incredible rainforest. And it comes out down on the beach. And it's just, I thought, oh, this is my vision. This is my dream. This is paradise. White sand beaches, aqua blue water, so clear the sea that you can see for a mile out, and rainforests that just tumble down the mountainsides into the beach, and creeks that you could drink out of. You could just go and drink. They were so clean. And we set up camp, and I'm like in heaven. This is like, I walked away from everything I've ever known, and we're out there. And like, it's like on another planet. But there were a couple of things that rapidly shattered my vision. And one of them was, we met this old hermit on the beach. He lived further up the beach, and he was hidden, camped in there. And he could have been anywhere from 80 to 100 something. And he had been out there for years. And he started to educate us about the jungle. And, you know, said, you got to watch out. The crocodiles can come right up on the beach. They are in the sea, and you don't want to get grabbed by, you know, one of them. And there's the sea snakes, and there's the deadly jellyfish certain times of the year that can kill you in 5 minutes. And there are poisonous snakes, and there's the stinging tree that if you brush against it, it will cause so much pain that the early pioneers used to like blow their brains out or shoot their horse or their dog because of the pain. And so then that was like, okay, I don't like this. You know, how do I reconcile this? And then that wasn't enough. There was something else that happened. One of the first hikes that my husband and I went on, we saw a snake, and he was in front of me, and I had relied on him. He was, you know, my big protector. And all of a sudden, he sees the snake and he's running down the hill screaming his face off. Just literally screaming his face off. And I'm like, what? And he got very ill. He had the runs, he was sick for 2 days. This is serious fear, and which actually many people can have. So I'm like, okay, this really puts a damper on things here. And how am I going to deal with this? And I was angry. Surprisingly, I was, well, not really surprising, but I was very angry. And I was angry because why are all these deadly things here? This is what Eden isn't supposed to be like. This is not paradise. My husband is supposed to be this brave person, and this isn't happening. And so he would go up the beach to visit the hermit or stay around camp. That was it. I'm not going in that forest. So it's like, okay, I needed to go, hike. I couldn't live around camp, and we couldn't turn the truck around and go home. And so I started exploring on my own, and was very timid at first. And one day I thought, why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? It goes deeper than that. And I realized because I have to be aware. I have to be aware. I have entered the food chain. Wow. Whoa. Boy, it's been a long time since me or my ancestors have been in the food chain. And so I literally had to watch where I put my feet, my hands, check my hair for paralysis ticks, which could kill you, check my body for leeches. I mean, this was survival if I wanted to be in the forest. And I'm going to do a little reading here of a true story, and then I'm going to tell you the lessons that I learned. This story was a turning point. One morning, I slugged down some water, grabbed a handful of dried fruit, and wandered up the hill behind our camp. I was eager to reach the crest and see what lay beyond. As I climbed, my bladder begged me to stop and let go of the water I drunk. I pulled my frayed denim shorts down around my thighs and squatted. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a 6-foot red-bellied black snake racing toward my feet. I gasped, pulled back, and froze. Startled, the snake rose to strike position and lashed out 3 times in a false strike, within inches of my nose. Don't move, Robin. If he bites you, you could be paralyzed. I didn't breathe. His tongue flicked between black, scaly lips to taste the air. I've got to let him know I'm no threat. His eyes are almost popping out of his head. Oh, I know how he feels. Wait a minute. He's more scared than I am. I suddenly knew that I had to act as if his presence was irrelevant to me. I calmed myself by pretending I faced only an earthworm. As I began to relax, time slipped into slow motion, and I heard the snake's thoughts. I'm terrified. Don't harm me. I don't want to harm you. You just happen to be on the path of my flight, but I'll fight for my life if I have to. You don't seem ready to attack. You're too big to eat. If you look away and allow me to escape, I will leave you. I won't bite. Can you trust me? Can I trust you? The snake flicked his tongue. I blinked, swallowed, waited. In that moment, I felt more awareness than I had ever felt in my entire life. I had a memory of being connected to all other life forms, a time when all of us communicated with other beings, awareness to awareness. The snake waited, motionless. With the ease of a child, I talked to Red Belly, thought to thought. Okay, I hear you. One of us has to be vulnerable. I want to take the risk because I need to test my courage. I'll turn my head slowly so my eyes won't follow where you're going. You can go now. I won't follow you. As I slowly looked away, I saw him whip half of his 6-foot length up and over the rest of his body and vanish into the forest. I collapsed to the ground, grinning. I discovered a courage I didn't know I possessed. Tested and passed, I began my initiation into the mysteries of the Australian rainforest. Daily, this ancient forest beckoned me to enter and discover life's most intimate secrets. In time, I shed all of my clothes along with my fear and walked naked into the jungle.